There's been a lot of talk lately about Jayson Tatum and just a lot of, I would say, arguments on why he's not the face of the league, despite him wanting to be the face of the league. I've heard now a lot of Boston Celtic fans say that Jayson Tatum is like their modern version of Tim Duncan, except he's playing the wing position instead of being a big man. But that it's just a similar situation where Tatum is like the best player in the league, but because he has like a Tim Duncan like personality, and that's why he's not getting the respect he deserves as being a face of the league. It's just because of his personality. I have to disagree with that on a huge level. I just think that they're totally off on this one. I think comparing Jayson Tatum to Tim Duncan is just a terrible, terrible example. I would say their personalities are even different. I know people want to say Tim Duncan is boring and whatnot, but I think Tim Duncan did have personality. He was his own self. He was authentic. And I think if he came out in this era, I think the way people perceive him would have been different, to be honest. Tim Duncan had a great dry sense of humor, and he knew how to play that up whenever he wanted to, but he didn't really like to reveal his real personality to like the media. Like you see it in just even in that commercial with Derrick Rose, he had, I think it might have been like 10 years ago. It was a funny commercial where he said like I think it was like Day of Greatness or something. If you YouTube it, it's pretty funny where he plays up his boring personality. And if you look up some of his old commercials, even local Spurs TV commercials, they're pretty hysterical. But Duncan was a very introverted guy. He didn't want to get, exposure in the spotlight. He dreaded it. He just wanted to keep to himself. But I do think he had more personality than Tatum. He seemed like a more interesting guy when people dug deep into what he was into. I think he actually would have enjoyed this era even better because he's a gamer when gaming wasn't popular back in the day where it is today. You have too many of these guys who are into gaming today, especially these young guys. I think that would have made Tim Duncan even more interesting today, just in that regard. But I digress. I just want to go more into detail why I don't think Duncan and Tatum are similar in any way. I just think Tatum is just a generic boring guy. He's not even authentic about his boringness. There's nothing interesting about him, in these interviews. I don't see it. But I also don't think Tatum is an introvert like Tim Duncan was. I think Tatum is an extroverted guy. I could be wrong. Boston fans could correct me, but he seems pretty outgoing. He likes the attention. He has his son Deuce with him at all times. He likes to talk. So I think Tatum really wants the spotlight. He wants the attention, whereas Tim never wanted that attention. Tim enjoyed his teammates, but he didn't want that attention at all. So I disagree with them on that front when it comes to just the personalities. I would also say another thing about Tim Duncan is that where he differed than Tatum is that Tim Duncan never wanted the validation of others. He was really playing for his own validation. I felt that he didn't care if people didn't think he was the best player in the league or if he wasn't great or whatnot. Tim just didn't care about those things. He really was about winning. Like he was the quintessential winner in the sense that he would do whatever it took to win. All it took was him scoring 2 points to win, he would get you 2 points. Like he didn't have that ego where he cared really what people thought about him, just what their perceptions of him was. I just don't think he never cared. It was just all about winning. He was driven to win. That was just his number one focus. And I think Tatum really desires validation of others. He wants it badly. That's why he's frustrated. He's not getting that respect. Do I knock Tatum for that? No, I don't knock him for that because I think that's like 90% of people want validation from somebody. That's how most people are wired. It's like some human survival mechanism that's built in most of us. I just think that was Tim Duncan's superpower, that he just didn't care about validation. He was about himself, and it didn't matter if you didn't think he was the best player in the league. He just didn't give a shit. He was just about winning and how to beat you, and that's what really mattered. So Tatum doesn't have that superpower. He really does care. They will always bother him. He doesn't get the respect that he feels that he deserves. I don't think he deserves to face a league status because he hasn't proven to step up in the biggest moments. Which leads me to the next point. Duncan is a top 10 all-time great, just easily. In my eyes, he's top 5. I know people will disagree, but just you look at his resume, just it's impeccable. And you just look at just Duncan at the start of his career really did dominate. I think he was one of like only a few NBA players to get to make all NBA first team for the first 7 or 8 years of his career. Just that was a ridiculous stretch. If you think about it, just he won 3 Finals MVPs in a stretch of 8 years. 3 Finals MVPs, 2 league MVPs in a stretch of like I said, like 8 years. Not many people have that good of a resume during their first 8 years of their career. And he stepped up when it really mattered. Like just he was dominant in his first few finals when he went there, and he really stood out. He rose to the occasion. He had some big moments. I would say getting a near quadruple double in the 2003 finals, in '99 just completely eviscerating the Knicks, and also on just destroying the Lakers like in '99, doing it against prime Shaq in '99, and then in '03 taking out prime Shaq again, just this time destroying him in Staples Center in Game 6 when they were the defending champs. That to me was just out of this world amazing. Tatum has never had these moments. I would challenge any Boston fan to dig up the similar moments to the moments I've highlighted with Tim Duncan. I just don't see that. And also Tim Duncan had a stretch where he was the best player in the league. It was very obvious he was the best player in the league during the early to mid 2000s. I felt I know some people will argue Shaq. I would say Shaq definitely during that first title in 2000, but after 2001, Duncan just owned that stretch for that time period. So I don't think I won't say I don't think Tatum has never had that stretch where you're just like, damn, this guy is the best player in the league. He's dominated, blah, 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 or he's taking this guy out and just you can't stop him. He's just that dominant. Tatum's never had that. He's never had that moment. Not to say that it can never happen, but I don't think it will. He's a very good player, but I just don't see Tatum ever being as dominant as what Tim Duncan was during Tim Duncan's prime. So I just think that's a bad example, and just wanted to just point that out.